What's up, guys? Fan 101 here, and this is my Survivor Series 2017 review. I already had uploaded my TLC review. I already told you what's going on, why I'm recording this way. So the only difference is that it got dark, so I put my lamp down here so it's a little bit more brighter. You can see more of me. So with that said, let's get it out of the way. Survivor Series 2017. This was a show I was at first not looking forward to at all, looking at the immediate card, because it was once again going to be Raw versus SmackDown. It wasn't striking my fancy, because for a lot of the matches, it was heel versus heel. I mean, look at some of the... When they first announced that it was going to be another Raw versus SmackDown type Survivor Series pay-per-view, like they did last year, as of recording this last year, the whole... Just look at the card at the time that they announced it. You had Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal. I'll get to that when I get to the Lesnar-Styles match. You had... You did have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus the New Day. Not the New Day, the Usos. So you did have that. At least in the beginning. We did have Alexa Bliss versus Natalya. What a boring match that would have been. We had Baron Corbin versus The Miz, which we still had. And we just had certain matches that... We just had certain other matches that were added to the card. But they definitely helped us out a lot by changing the show, especially with the Lesnar match. I'll get to that. And putting a lot of star power and a lot of names in the main event, which sadly did not help, as it turned out. It only hurt the match. But let's get started, shall we? I will be reviewing the pre-show, being that this was a Big 4 pay-per-view. And, you know, it was 4 hours long and everything. And, you know, none of the matches on the pre-show were really bad. So, let's get it over with, shall we? So we had, so for the first match was Elias versus Matt Hardy. Shit, something's going wrong. Hang on. There we go. I hate that. Hey, bullshit. I thought something happened in the video. Sorry. But we had Elias versus Matt Hardy. This was not a bad match, but it was definitely not that great of a match. This was bang-on mediocre. This was a mediocre match. It was not that good, but it wasn't horrible. It was passable, I'll say. Matt Hardy actually worked over Elias early in the match until Elias had Matt Hardy against the ropes, and actually had a kind of unique spot. Well, maybe not unique, but Matt Hardy had his left arm was being taken by Elias. And Matt Hardy's neck was against the top rope, right? And so what Elias is, he shoved Matt Hardy's arm, and Matt Hardy went throat first into the rope. But I guess because he shoved on that particular arm, they basically worked over the arm for the rest of the match, to the point where later on in the match, Matt Hardy was selling it as if he could barely use it, which was kind of smart, you know, but then again, Matt Hardy's a veteran. So for the most part, it was Elias working over Matt Hardy, with a long spot of Elias was having like his one arm hold on Matt Hardy, which felt like it was going on forever. That's where it started out kind of nice, but then it kind of dipped from there, the quality of the match. But they eventually fought back in what was at least something passable. Matt Hardy was being a little asshole. No, Matt Hardy was not being an asshole. He was being a semi-douche. I'm sorry. But Matt Hardy, he eventually countered after he was on the outside, right? So set it up for you. He was on the outside. He countered, and he got a not a twist of fate, but he got a oh God, what was the name of the move? the side effect. He got the side effect on Elias on the apron, which could not have felt good for Elias. After that, Matt Hardy, again, worked over Elias because, Matt Hardy is, broken or woken, whatever they call him nowadays. There was this one spot, which I rarely ever see Matt Hardy do. Okay, you know how Matt Hardy sometimes stands in the middle rope and then goes down for the elbow on the back of his opponent's head as they bend over? In this one, later in the match, pretty much right before the finish, Matt Hardy went for an elbow, like a Randy Savage almost style elbow onto Elias on the middle rope. I've never seen Matt Hardy do the elbow like that. Or maybe it's just me, but yeah, I thought that was a little bit unique. And out of Matt Hardy's usual playbox, after the old clothesline to the Bulldog, Matt Hardy, he hit another side effect. Then he went for a twist of fate. Oh, I almost forgot. Earlier in the match, before the side effect spot, I have to mention this. Elias hit, okay, Christopher Daniels finished the Angel's Wings, where he puts him like the pedigree finish, but then slams them down on their stomach. Well, Elias did something similar to that, but instead of doing just that move, he put his knee out, so kind of like a facebuster kind of thing. So he did the Angel's Wings into a facebuster and put his knee out and hit Matt Hardy right in the head, which I had to say, that kind of looked brutal. But I just had to mention that. Later on, the finish of the match was Elias countered the Matt Hardy's twist of fate into a drift away, which was the, if you remember Paige's old finish, it was the Paige Turner. Basically a fisherman sweep-legged suplex slam, or whatever it was. But it's called the drift away. Elias got the 1, 2, 3, and Elias beat Matt Hardy. If I was reviewing this like the day after or the night of Survivor Series, I'd be saying like, look at Matt Hardy, and then I say, well, look at Matt Hardy now. He's in a feud with Bray Wyatt. He's back to his original character. This time they're just calling it Woken, not Broken. And so a little downhill for a little bit, but Matt Hardy he's finally gained some traction. So I feel good for Matt Hardy. I don't mind this anymore. Next match was Enzo Amore defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Kalisto. Kalisto started out strong. He went for a dive. Enzo got out of the way. Enzo eventually did get Kalisto did eventually get Enzo out of the ring, and it was nice. Why was it nice? Because Kalisto went for a code red. Basically, Enzo tried something. Kalisto kicked him, I think. But what happened was he got him with the shoulder tackle in the middle of Enzo's sternum. But anyway, he hit a code red. He flung himself over the top rope and hit a code red. It was a awesome looking code red. And I'm just like, match should have ended right there. I'll take it. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it was a really nice looking code red, and Kalisto actually dominated for the next few seconds. He went on the attack. Enzo was found on the apron on the outside. Kalisto tried to get him in the ring, and Enzo hit the stunner off the top rope. Not like a Stone Cold stunner, like normal, but he just kind of stunned him off the top rope. And by the way, in the kickoff matches there were these commercials, so that did kind of piss me off at times. But in this match, I don't mind. It only made the match shorter and probably sweeter. So Enzo, basically worked heat over Kalisto. What happened was, he basically worked Kalisto. And again, you could say this is where the match died, but surprisingly enough, Enzo did kind of, he didn't do the same thing what Elias did. Elias, it felt like there was like a 2 or 3 minute interval just him doing an armbar or something like that. Kalisto was... I keep saying Kalisto. Enzo was not that bad. So give Enzo his credit. He tried something a little bit different. He didn't go for any top rope DDT this time, which probably is good because I don't want him hurting himself. Or maybe I do, considering how much of a douchebag he supposedly is. But anyway. But Enzo, he just worked heat. There was a spot where he hanged Kalisto up in the Tree of Woe, and he ran at Kalisto like 100 miles an hour, and hit this running forearm to Kalisto's stomach. I was hoping he would hit the head to make it look more impactful. That did not happen. He went for it again a few minutes later, or a minute or so later, about a couple minutes later, I should say. And Kalisto dodged. He got out of the way. Immediately afterward, he lifted his body, got up on the top rope, and as Enzo was trying to recover, he had a moonsault, which looked good. You know, and it was a nice spot. Kalisto fought back, you know, Hurricane Ranas, you know, the stuff that Kalisto tends to do. He went for the Salida del Sol. Enzo got out of it. They went, I believe, if I recall correctly, that's what happened. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But anyway, the finish, this is what the finish was. And it was actually kind of clever. They went onto the apron, right? Both of them went to the apron where, you know, people go to die. Just kidding. But they fought on the apron, right? Kalisto and almost got hit. But, okay, so here's what happened. Enzo went for the Eat Defeat. Which is Gail Kim's finishing maneuver, hilariously enough. But he went for Eat Defeat. Kalisto, and I thought this was a fuck-up here at first. Kalisto got his arms in the middle rope, and Enzo hit nothing but air. Now, I thought for a second that there was a botch. Turns out there wasn't. So what happened is Enzo tried to squirm away from Kalisto. Kalisto went after him. Enzo, now picture this: they're on the apron. Kalisto's on one side of the turnbuckle. Enzo is on the other. Enzo grabs Kalisto's arm, right, and pulls Kalisto head first. Not into the turnbuckle. He hit less of the turnbuckle, more the steel pipe. He hit the steel pipe between the turnbuckle and the ring post, almost. Not face first, thankfully. More so head first. But that pretty much knocked Kalisto for a loop, and then Enzo got him in the ring and got the Eat Defeat, and Enzo won the match. This was actually a much better match than I was expecting, considering it was on the kickoff match. But maybe these guys had a bunch of piss and vinegar, like, how dare you ban us to the pre-show because it's Raw versus SmackDown. But it was actually an okay match, and probably Enzo's best match since going into the Cruiserweight division. It was a nice match. It was a average match, but average for Enzo is usually good. Again, like at TLC, Kalisto came out in this badass looking mask. He had these three you could see his hair. Hang on a second.
You need your turkey now.
Okay. I'll be out in 40 minutes. Okay. Sorry about that, but I'm going to eat turkey in a little bit, but I want to get this out of the way first, right? Okay, so, Kalisto had a pretty sick looking mask. Admittedly, it was a better looking mask than the one at TLC. I think that one was gold, but this one was like a dragon style silver, which is probably what Kalisto was going for. It had three spikes, kind of like this, kind of like little mini afros, and there was open spaces in between them, and you could see his hair. It would actually look kind of nice. Next match was the shortest of the two matches. It seems like the matches progressively got shorter. Elias and Matt Hardy was about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes, while Kalisto and Enzo was a little less than 9 minutes. And the next match ended up being a little less than 8 minutes, which is sad because I wish Matt Hardy and Elias went a little less than 8 minutes, while this match went a little less than 10 minutes. Okay, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens came out, right? They were not scheduled on the main card. Instead, they cut a promo, you know. In the normal promo, they were kind of it's a conspiracy, what Shane McMahon's doing to them. Then Breezango came out, and they basically challenged them to a match. Well, long story short. Not Enzo. What am I talking about? So it was Breezango against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I know they're also called the Fashion Police, and Fashion Files, all good stuff. But officially their name is still Breezango, even though they basically go by Breezango and by Fashion Police. but I'll probably call them by both names. This match ended up being the best of the three on the kickoff match. I know I'm taking a long time, but this was a long pay-per-view with a lot of stuff, so give me a break. Enzo, I keep saying Enzo. Damn it. But this match, this tag team match, was actually a pretty good one. It was actually a decent one for what it was worth. Breezango, believe it or not, had the advantage early. You know, with Fandango countering Kevin Owens at one point. It didn't take long for them to go to commercial, because we come back from commercial, and there was this nice little spot, admittedly, where Fandango had Sami Zayn hung up on the top rope, not on the turnbuckle, just on the top rope. Tagged Breeze in. They both hit double kicks on Sami's head. I'm like, oh, that was a little nice. You know, and I always like the double teamwork of tag team matches. Tyler Breeze was in there for a little while. He was he worked against Sami Zayn on the outside. As he was coming back in, he was distracted by Kevin Owens, and that allowed Sami to take control. And for the next several minutes, they worked heat on Breeze, but not the boring kind of heat like what we got with Sami Zayn, with Matt Hardy and Elias. I'm talking about the nice kind of heat where it's like, we enjoy watching these guys work heat because we know they're assholes, and that's what they do. But they worked a little bit here. Basically, Kevin Owens had Chinlock City. Kevin Owens went for the running senton. Breeze put his furry boots up and got his knees up and hit Kevin Owens right in the back. Both their partners tagged in. Fandango, who, okay, I'll give him his due. Fandango, especially from several years ago, has improved. I know some people don't give him his due. I do, because him as a tag team actually work, and I just wish he and Breeze would work just a tad bit more seriously so they could win more matches and have longer matches and show what they could do. But Fandango worked against Sami Zayn. There was one point after hitting a drop kick. I have to say that. So hitting a drop kick, he did. Apparently, he pulled a Big E by gyrating his hips. Not nearly as much as Big E would, but he gyrated his hips, and I'm just like, Fandango, why would you do that? He was doing this in preparation to go for a DDT. Not a DDT, not a regular DDT. I mean like a tilt-a-whirl DDT. That's what it is. Didn't get the win there. Kevin Owens came in. Tyler Breeze also came in. He attacked Owens. But this distracted, because Sami Zayn was down, right? So this distracted Fandango long enough because he had to get rid of Owens for a second. Fandango went for his top rope leg drop. He missed. And then Kevin Owens tagged Sami Zayn, got himself tagged in, hit Fandango with the pop-up powerbomb, and your winners, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who should have won. But admittedly, this was a nice little match. It wasn't as good as, say, some of the other matches on the card, per se. But it was a nice little match. I enjoyed it. I enjoy watching Kevin Owens. I just wish it would have gone longer. Had it gone like 3 minutes longer, I might be saying this was a really good match. As it is, sorry about that. As it is, it was an enjoyable match. Now we open up the actual pay-per-view, thank Lord. We open up with the Shield versus New Day match, which originally it was only going to be the Shield and Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins against the Usos, which I was actually really looking forward to. That didn't happen, but we did get a compromise in the Shield versus the New Day in a 6-man tag team action, which is always good. Believe it or not, when the Shield reunited, this was one of the matches I really wanted to see them go up against as the New Day. Especially in, say, 2015, 2016, when the New Day was really on top. Dean Ambrose and Kofi Kingston started out the match. By the way, Rollins and Ambrose, they weren't wearing their Kevlar gear. They were wearing these half Shield, half Raw shirts. Which, I don't know whether or not that was on WWE Shop. But, hopefully it isn't, because it does not look that good. But these guys basically worked six-man tag team action for a while. Eventually, you know, though, things had to break down. And they did early on. Shield dominated. They clotheslined Big E and, I think, Kofi out of the ring and worked on Xavier a lot of the time. So, you know, poor Xavier. He got abused. Eventually, you know, got the tag in. It was just great six-man tag team action. I can't really say anything else. Other than it was fantastic. One thing I do have to mention, Roman Reigns, when he came out, crowd chanted at him, "You still suck." So I was happy to see very little has changed. They hit the unit, but it did get better as the match went along because it's the Shield. You can't really boo the Shield. Hit the Unicorn Stampede. Dean Ambrose eventually got involved. Big E hit his, of course, spear through the middle rope to Dean Ambrose, which I'm afraid, again, Big E's going to break his arm or break his shoulder one day doing that move. I mean, seriously, a guy that size should not be doing that. Ambrose, and here's the thing, though. I think Ambrose and Rollins were still wearing a little bit of Kevlar gear or their normal Shield outfits under their Raw Shield shirts, which is weird. Because Dean Ambrose was. I forget whether or not Rollins was even wearing another shirt under there. But Seth Rollins came in, worked, and it was a lot of fun. We didn't really get a lot of Roman Reigns early on, which is kind of weird. But eventually, again, you knew things had to break down eventually. There was this nice little spot where Roman Reigns went for a Samoan drop. Xavier got out of the way. He went for a discus forearm, but then Roman Reigns got him right in the face with a Superman punch. It looked like it sucked to take. This ended up being a great match by the end. Big E went for a big ending. Xavier on Ambrose. I was about to say Xavier. Although Xavier did try to go for the top rope, they went for the Midnight Hour. Ambrose saved his ass. He got the Kingslayer on Kofi Kingston, and Dean Ambrose got the what's it called? The Dirty Deeds on Kofi as well. Kind of trying to do the finish from the SummerSlam match with the Bar and Rollins and Ambrose. Xavier broke that up. Fought outside for a little bit, shoving the New Day members into the barricade. They went for the Shield triple power bomb. That did not happen at this point in the match because Reigns was pulled out by Big E. He got shoved into the barricade. Then Kofi and Xavier hit back. Kofi got the I was about to say Paradise Kick. God, what's the name of his move? Trouble in Paradise. That's close enough. Trouble in Paradise. Xavier worked over Ambrose. Then he got a sick-looking knee on both Ambrose in the ring and Rollins in the outside. That just looked sickening. Both guys... hang on. Both guys... well, not both guys. All three guys of the New Day. Because Big E rammed... kind of did the Snake Eyes, the Undertaker Snake Eyes. The Snake Eyes on Ambrose in the turnbuckle where the New Day, tag in. And Xavier and Kofi hit their boots to the face. They hit this one spot. I have to admit this was a really good spot. So, Xavier has Big E up in the electric chair position, right? But Kofi's on the turnbuckle. So what he does, he uses Big E as leverage, being that he's on top of Xavier. It's Kofi hits a splash over Big E onto Dean Ambrose, and then after that, Big E, Xavier hit a front electric chair, a forward electric chair spot with Big E splashing on top of Ambrose, which was nice. Then Big E, in a monstrous feat of strength, even though he's kind of in this comedy style team. I tend to forget sometimes how strong Big E is. He got Ambrose and Rollins both up for the midnight hour, which Kofi and Xavier hit. That was awesome. One of the New Day went for the pin, but Reigns hit a spear on Big E and knocked over the other member of New Day trying to get the pin. Then things just completely broke down. Things were broken down before, but then things turned into an actual fight. It was enjoyable. It was fun. Ambrose went for a... Ambrose hit a... I was about to say midnight hour. Ambrose hit a Dirty Deeds to Big E on the floor. I think Rollins hit the Kingslayer on Xavier Woods on the other side of the ring on the floor. Kofi went after Reigns for a while. Reigns hit the spear. And then in the last great spot of the match, they went to the middle rope, right? So Reigns was sitting on the turnbuckle. On the top turnbuckle, but he was on the middle rope. Rollins and Ambrose came in the picture, put Kofi on top of Reigns, and they had a middle rope shield triple power bomb for the win. That was an awesome spot, and what ended a great match. I would say it was a great match. Don't get me wrong. I would say I just wish it wasn't as good as, say, the Shield versus Evolution at Extreme Rules 2014, or the Shield versus Ryback and Team Hell No at TLC 2012. But it was still a great match. I was hoping for that quality match, considering who was involved. But it was still a great match, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Next up was the women's Survivor Series match. This match, it was not a bad match, but this match, I don't know why. This is the second year in a row they've tried to do Raw versus SmackDown women's Survivor Series matches. Team Raw featured Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Bayley, and Asuka against Team SmackDown, which was led by Becky Lynch. And by the way, Team Raw was led by, captained by Alicia Fox. It was Becky Lynch, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella. And this match, I had a similar problem with last year's match. Last year's match felt a little bit rushed. This one's felt a little bit rushed too. Which is weird because this match went on for every bit of 18 minutes. So, I don't know why I felt like it felt rushed. But it felt rushed for a couple of reasons. So, it went on for a little while. So, it wasn't like last year where that match went on for like 12 to 15 minutes. This one went a little longer. Hang on, one of my water bottles is over there. Yeah, in terms of reviews, I'm calling it quits after this review because my throat's getting to me. But anyway, the match itself was not a bad match. It was a nice, solid match, but the booking of it ruined for what could have been a really good match. So Becky Lynch and Alicia Fox went at it for a bit, being that they were both team captains. And they did the shock elimination for Becky Lynch. Because they do it every once in a while. But I hated it because they took out one of the best workers of the match and possibly the best worker on Team SmackDown just for shock elimination. I thought it was disappointing and it ended up lame. It was just lame. I hate when they just do shock eliminations for the sake of doing shock eliminations. It's not like with a tag team match last year when they did it with a New Day. Because you had a bunch of other great tag teams in those matches. You could afford to lose that. But here, they couldn't afford to lose the best worker of their team, and that's exactly what happened. Becky Lynch went for a top... She did hit like a middle to top rope leg drop. But then, and she was dominating Alicia for a while. But then Alicia, without Becky Lynch knowing, tagged in Bayley. Bayley rolled up Becky Lynch for the pin. And I just thought, man, that was lame. And I think the crowd probably thought it too. They went in there to work. Natalya and Tamina worked over Bayley for a little bit. But Bayley worked off more she could chew. She eventually got super kicked by Carmella and got hit by a Superfly splash for Tamina. And by the way, Tamina, got more offense. And by the way, again, her Superfly Splash, not that good, again. But, yeah, she just can't hit the move right. But Tamina, got a lot of offense in on this match. She got more time than Becky Lynch, which to me is a crime. But her stuff with Nia Jax, admittedly, was good. But aside from that, no. So it was basically Monster Tamina versus Monster Nia, even though Tamina's really not that much of a monster. She's more of a powerhouse. So it was Nia and Tamina for a little bit. It was actually not that bad. We were expecting monster stuff, which is kind of what we got. Nia at one point even hit she had a running cannonball into Tamina, but Tamina wasn't against the corner. She was in the middle of the ring, just sitting up. So the fact that Nia actually did that, it was actually kind of nice. So here's what happened. Remember, Lana was not wrestling in this match. So so she tried to get involved because she's managing Tamina. Nia attacked Lana. And before that, I gotta mention this. They're both Samoans, right? From a Samoan bloodline, so of course they both had to headbutt each other, because why not? But Tamina, anyway, after the Lana interference, Tamina got a super kick in. Everyone was, well, not everyone. Naomi hit a over-the-top rope splash onto Nia. Then Tamina worked over Nia a lot outside. Hit another super kick, hit a little bit of a splash from the top step, from the ring steps. And Nia got counted out. This was their way of protecting Nia, which I have no problem with. Then Naomi came in. It was Naomi and Alicia Fox, and oh boy, this ain't good. For the 1 or 2 minutes that they may have worked together, it felt so long because oh man, it was bad. And this is not both women here, not just Alicia Fox, who at times was okay, has been decent, and at times is just completely flat out shit. Naomi hit she went for her split-legged moonsault, she missed, even though for whatever reason it looked kind of wonky. Okay, so here's what happened. She got Alicia Fox in a pinning predicament. And what happened was she was supposed to transition from the pinning predicament into her submission finish. I forget what she calls it. But the problem is the referee counted 3 while she was still in the pinning predicament, and the referees are taught to treat the match like it's a shoot. So even though she tried to get a submission win on Alicia technically was pinned, and referee said, "Get the hell out of here! You lost." So, and Sasha Banks immediately came in, got the bank statement on Naomi, and out went Naomi. So now it was Asuka, who had not entered the ring yet, and Sasha Banks against Carmella, Tamina, and Natalya. Basically, 2 baby faces against 3 heels. You kind of figured where this was going. Carmella went in, tried to work. Wasn't that great, because Carmella's never been the best wrestler. And by the way, Carmella's ring gear, it looks more like a swimsuit, kind of like Lana. She worked over Asuka for a second, made the fatal mistake of slapping Asuka over and over again, and got her ass kicked by Asuka, and kicked in the face for good measure, and then got pinned. You don't slap Asuka in the face. Try learning that next time. So that was 2-on-2 for a little while. And Natalya has this move where she goes for a discus clothesline. AJ Styles did that a lot in TNA up until 2013 when he went for the Styles combination, which he still technically does a discus forearm clothesline, but just a little bit differently. And for many years, Natalya's been using that discus clothesline, but let's just say that it's never looked good, except for then. Because what happened when she flung Sasha, I just have to mention this, it's just me. She flung Sasha into the ropes, then she just twirled around for the discus clothesline, and it looked like she absolutely decapitated Sasha. Sasha fought back, even hit the double knees, which of course looks brutal as all hell. Tamina came in just for the save. Natalya got the sharpshooter on Sasha, Tamina made sure to take out Asuka so that way Sasha couldn't get the pin, and Sasha tapped out. So now it was Asuka 2-on-1 against Tamina and Natalya. I just wish it was Asuka 1-on-1 against Becky Lynch. That would have been awesome. Because Becky Lynch had been saying over and over again, I'm going to break Asuka's arm, even though we never even got anything between Asuka and Becky. Stupid. So Tamina went for her crappy Superfly Splash. That didn't work. Asuka got in the arm breaker move. Natalya then worked with Asuka, which was kind of enjoyable. But Asuka got the Asuka lock onto Natalya, and Natalya immediately tapped out. So, winner of the match was Asuka. Asuka won the match for her team on Team Raw for the women. But, and I preface this, but the booking of the match really held it down. First by, and it showed at several points. First by having Becky taken out of the match, which was not a good call, and then by the whole Naomi and Alicia Fox thing, but also taking out Naomi, who was also pretty good, in favor of Tamina. That also did not sit well with me. So, solid match, but go in with low expectations if you're going to watch it. Next up was the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus United States Champion, Baron Corbin. I thought this was actually a nice, solid match. And believe it or not, actually enjoyed this match better than the Women's Survivor Series match. Why? Because it was short, to the point, and believe it or not, that even though there was very little build-up on TV because Miz is a heel, Baron Corbin does a lot of trash talking on like Instagram. I think Baron Corbin trash talked about Miz and also his wife, and then Miz fired back like a babyface. And I actually, in some ways, I was rooting for the Miz in this match. But then Miz ended up working heel with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel on ringside, and Baron Corbin was being the babyface. So I don't know what the hell was going on. Maurice, by the way, is pregnant, so she's not ringside. She was at ringside, but only in the crowd. Baron Corbin and Miz worked. They worked about like 9-minute match, so it was a short match, but it was good because this did not need to go any longer than it did. And it was actually a nice little back and forth match. Not too many in the way of spots. It was just a nice little back and forth match, but sometimes you don't need that. Although Bo Dallas did interfere and attack Corbin's knee, which his knees ended up being the focal point of what Miz worked on in the match. His left knee mainly. I think his right knee was also attacked, but it was mainly his left knee. But Baron Corbin, he actually kind of sold it a little well. And another thing I liked, so there's a move where Baron Corbin is usually flung towards trying to get thrown towards the turnbuckle. He slides his way outside of the ring, goes back inside the ring, hits a clothesline on the opponent. Not this time. Instead, he slid outside the ring, punched Curtis Axel right in the face, and then it went back in the ring and attacked Miz. He hit the end of days on Bo Dallas, and this is when I thought, oh no, Miz is winning this match. Because I wanted Corbin to win, because Corbin deserves the win after being treated not too well in terms of the booking. Miz tried to get the TDT. That didn't work. Went for the it kicks, which never looked good the way the Miz does it. Went for a second it kick in the corner, or Daniel Bryan yes kicks. And Baron Corbin countered into end of days. Baron Corbin won the match. This was actually a nice little match. It was short, to the point, and had a lot of trash talking in it. Baron Corbin trash talked after the match. Also enjoyable. I think what I liked about this match that I didn't like about the women's match, there was no bullshit booking. It was just a straight up back and forth match with a little bit of interference, but Baron Corbin pulling out the win. There was no bullshit like, the DQ finish like what we got last year with Sami Zayn and The Miz. So I thought it was a better match just for the booking alone being better. Next up was SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, against Raw Tag Team Champions, The Bar. Sheamus and Cesaro. This was a really good match. Okay? This was a really good match. But for the first few minutes, admittedly, it was almost kind of, well, not boring, but they worked heat a lot the first few minutes. And it kind of it kind of brought down the quality of the match for me. But after like the first few minutes, they were like, wait a minute, this is the Usos versus the Bar. This is Sheamus, Cesaro, and the Usos. Let's kick into the next gear, which is exactly what happened. Like they did work a little bit early, but Sheamus and Cesaro, and I noticed this also kind of in the SummerSlam match, but it was never nearly a problem. They worked heat early in the match. Sheamus hit a running senton onto one of the Usos again. I can't figure out which one's which on the floor, which looked like it hurt like hell. And they basically worked heat for a while there. Sheamus was doing I think like a headlock on one of the Usos, and various double team moves that of course Sheamus and Cesaro do. Speaking of Sheamus, I gotta mention this. Sheamus and his little mohawk, for whatever reason, it started out with orange hair, but then it had like pure white hair. I don't know whether or not he dyed it that way, or maybe it was snow. I don't know. One of the Usos did hit a corkscrew moonsault off the top rope, which I've never seen neither of the Usos do, which was weird. This is where the match kicked it up into gear, because early in the match they worked heat and had headlocks, which was kind of boring, and then they just kicked it up to another notch, where they just hit move after move. Of course, the Usos took off their shirts because, manly. Nice little spot where after a little bit of back and forth, one of the Usos hit a drop kick onto Cesaro, and Cesaro his legs hit the turnbuckles, which I'd hate to be Cesaro's legs at the moment. There was a nice little bit when, well, not a nice little bit, but one of the Usos had Cesaro in the Death Valley Driver position. The other one hit a super kick while Cesaro was on there. That was a little bit nice. Sheamus finally got involved. Prevented the Usos from finishing the match at first. Cesaro went for Cesaro's swing, which I'm sad that he doesn't do the Cesaro swing like 20 times again. I wish he would do that. Got the sharpshooter on. Sheamus hit a brogue kick on the other Uso who tried to interfere, which I thought that was the end of the match, believe it or not. Uso, one of them, thankfully got to the bottom rope. Sheamus and Cesaro went for their finish. The other Uso, thankfully, countered, rolled up Cesaro, and also hit Sheamus in the face, who was on the turnbuckle for good measure. Then he got posted. There was a nice little spot, though. Instead of the normal finish that Sheamus and Cesaro do, Sheamus had one of the Usos in the white noise. Probably the same Uso, I think. In the white noise, Cesaro then ran towards the ropes, did a springboard leg drop onto the Uso while he was still in the white noise position. That admittedly was really cool. Other Uso got involved. I keep saying Uso like they're not people, but they are. I'm sorry. They went for the Uso. Went for the not Uso. Sheamus, the Bar went for the kind of Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin finish where one of them goes for a power bomb. Cesaro did here, and Sheamus is going to do the clothesline, kind of like the old Demolition. Not Demolition, but the old Road Warriors finish. No, I think it may have been Demolition. It doesn't matter. You know what move I'm talking about. And the Uso actually fought back, and this was actually nice, and apparently Cesaro didn't know this. Or either that or he just decided to move anyway. The Uso fought back, got Sheamus into a Samoan drop position, and Cesaro had a power bomb, but not knowing it, he also had his teammate. Cesaro got super kicked to the outside, and this was admittedly pretty cool. So, what happened was, Sheamus went for the, I think he went for the brogue, no, he didn't go for the brogue kick. He was going to be attacked by the Usos. Cesaro pushed him out of the way, got double super kicked right in the face. Then Sheamus got super kick city onto him, including a double super kick when he was on his knees. And this was a nice spot. one of the Usos went for a dive out over the top rope onto Cesaro. While he was doing this, he tagged in his brother mid-dive, which was pretty cool. And then the other Uso, who got tagged in, hit a top rope splash on the Sheamus. 1, 2, 3. That was the end of the match. This was a really good match on the end. I just wished we could have gotten rid of that heat spot early in the match with Sheamus working over, getting like a chin lock or a headlock or whatever. But aside from that, it was honestly a really, really good match and 4th best match of the night. 4th best, not a knock on it at all, because that was a really fun match by the end. I'm like, oh my god, wish they would have gotten longer now. Hit more cool shit. Next match, Alexa Bliss, Raw Women's Champion against SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte. This was a nice little match. This was not a bad match, although it started out almost dangerously when I'm like, oh no. So what happened is Alexa Bliss, she got Charlotte up in the damn it. She got Charlotte up in the on the apron, and she took Charlotte's left arm and kind of flung it off the top of the apron and hit the floor. That was a bad landing. I think Charlotte may have actually landed on her head. I think she did not get a concussion from this, or else we would have heard about it. But then Alexa Bliss dominated early on, which is weird that a woman as small as Alexa would dominate a woman as tall as Charlotte. Hit a drop kick into the steel steps. Charlotte eventually did take a little bit of control, but only... she didn't take control. She went for a pin, only to get, once again, knocked into the middle turnbuckle. That seems to be Alexa's MO in these matches, knocking opponents into the turnbuckle. Went for a tilt-a-whirl DDT. Charlotte then instead had an explosive suplex into the corner. And then I think Charlotte went for a moonsault. Alexa Bliss countered, got Charlotte in the Tree of Woe, and hit a corner drop kick. Then, admittedly, what was a nice little spot, she from the middle rope jumped up, hit Charlotte with the knees, and then did her handspring knees. Although the problem is, because she went a little bit forward with how far she went with the knees, with the first knee, I mean. When she did her handspring to hit Charlotte in the back with the knees, she missed Charlotte entirely, or should I say she missed Charlotte's back entirely, and hit her legs instead, which didn't do anything. And, so then at one point, Alexa went for a code red. Charlotte countered because she's clearly the bigger woman. Alexa went for she countered a powerbomb to a Hurricane Rana, which was a little bit nice. They went for some moves here. I actually liked it. And then Alexa Bliss finally hit a code red, which honestly looked nice. I will admit, though, Kalisto's code red did look better on Enzo, which is weird because Enzo's the worst worker than Charlotte, yet Kalisto got a better code red out of him than Elias did. Elias. I wish I was watching Elias. Alexa Bliss did on Charlotte. Then Alexa went to just trying to beat the crap out of Charlotte. That didn't work. Charlotte had a sick-looking powerbomb on Alexa. Didn't get the pin. And Charlotte went... Oh, here's the finish. Here's what happened in the finish after the powerbomb spot. Charlotte went for the figure 8. Alexa countered by just straight up punching her in the face. Tried to crawl away for a second. Charlotte then ran up and hit natural selection. And Alexa Bliss kicked out. Charlotte went for a moonsault. Alexa once again punched her in the face a little later. Hit a DDT spot. That didn't work. After Charlotte put her foot on the ropes. And Alexa whined like a little bitch. Charlotte, after a spear, knocked Alexa into the corner. Sorry, I'm thinking she had 2 natural selections in this match, so I was like, oh no, the first one. Alexa went up top, so that's just me being stupid. And hang on. Alexa Went up top for the Twisted Bliss. She missed, or either that or Charlotte got her knees up, whichever one works. Then Charlotte got the big boot. Went for the figure 8. And Alexa tapped out, actually. Oh, no. I mentioned the natural selection earlier. Oh, I remembered what it was. I'm an idiot. Okay, so what I said was natural selection. I thought natural selection was the finish for a second. I completely forgot. But Alexa kicked out of natural selection. What I was trying to say is that that's a move a natural selection is that doesn't get kicked out of a lot. So yeah, that happened, and it ended up being a good match at the end. I thought it was a good match. It was enjoyable. Not as good as some of the other matches, but you know, tend to get what you get. Anyway, so next match was it did go. Admittedly, the match did go a little bit long. It went like every bit of like 15 minutes. So they certainly got time. I did think it dragged a little bit here and there, but I didn't mind it too much. And it ended up being a good match by the end. Next up, the match of the night, from my opinion, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. WWE Champion versus Universal Champion. The fact that this at one point was Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar is a crime. My God, that would have been horrible. And thankfully, they got the right minds in the gear and put AJ Styles in the spot. Styles, of course, he did his usual shtick by being awesome. I was a little bit hesitant because I'm like, I hope Brock doesn't just destroy Lesnar. Brock doesn't just destroy Lesnar. God, I'm an idiot. I keep fucking up. I hope Brock doesn't destroy Styles. Like in 5 minutes, like he did with other people. And for the first couple minutes, that's exactly what it looked like was going to happen. But thankfully, it did not happen. The first part of this match was kind of like, felt kind of like a shoot, even though it clearly wasn't. But it felt like a fight with Brock Lesnar just throwing Styles around, hitting him with UFC-style knees. At one point, even just dragging Styles into the turnbuckle, which was just hilarious to look at. Yeah, and this got him with Suplex City. I mean, and the way Styles sold these suplexes were just amazing. He got launched far. He was even flung over the top rope, which just looked awesome, but also looked horrifying. Got knocked in the announce table, which also looked horrifying. Even Brock Lesnar even did something he usually doesn't do, and I haven't seen him do since the Royal Rumble in 2016, which was run to the corner and hit a knee up onto Styles. He even mocked Styles for a little bit, trying to say, "Hey, punch me, try to punch me," and Styles kept on missing. Brock just shoved him aside like he was a toy. But then finally, Styles hit up mounted offense, and this is where it turned from less of a fight into more of a wrestling match. And Styles hit mounted offense, kept on punching and chopping at him. Hell, Brock even went for an F5 early on. And Styles then went for the knees or the legs of Brock, and which is smart because if there's any part of Brock that seems to be weak, it's his calves or his knees. He even got a DDT spot. We never see Styles get DDT spots, like a regular DDT. Tried to mount an offense. Brock shoved him aside, and Styles countered by straight up kicking him right in the face, which I'm like, it was like the best Styles kick in the face I've ever seen. Probably because it felt real. Probably, and also probably because Brock said, just kick me right in the face. So, and here's where the match went a little bit wonky for a second. So, Styles went for his springboard inverted DDT move. This is where it went a little bit wonky. Brock was supposed to catch him, which he did, but he kind of got backed into the ring ropes and nearly fell over, but thankfully he got his bearings on, or whatever you want to call it, and got Styles up. He was going to shove Styles, probably like a Snake Eyes kind of move into the turnbuckle. Styles shoved him into the turnbuckle, went for a tilt-a-whirl DDT. But what happened is Brock, someone screwed up. I think he should have tried the spot again, but Brock just kind of fell forward and landed on his back, and Styles got flung forward. Thankfully, crowd, the announcers like, man, look at the strength of Brock. You know, just shoving Styles aside. So they were able to contain the damage. And Styles immediately countered by doing a Pele kick while Brock was on the ground. Something that we've never seen Styles do before. At least not as far as I know. Styles went for a springboard, and this I have to mention. Styles went for a springboard, went for the phenomenal forearm, especially springboard forearm. Phenomenal forearm. Brock countered by hitting a German suplex that completely rotated Styles onto his stomach. That looked like hell. But Styles eventually knocked Brock to the floor. Hit a forearm, a slinging forearm over the top rope to Styles. Styles even shoved, and this part I thought where Lesnar got hurt a little bit. Styles shoved Brock into the steel ring steps, and Brock landed him knee first. And I think I heard Brock swear when that happened. Styles went for another forearm off the ring steps. They went back in the ring. Styles even pulled a friggin' Chris Jericho, hit a lion salt, and then afterwards hit a springboard 450 from the top rope, which was nice. Springboard 450. Brock tried to hit the F5. Styles got the calf crusher, again going after the legs, which Brock Lesnar, by the way, sold this move like hell. And I know we've seen it people do in the past. Finn Balor did it to Styles. I think one point Chris Jericho banged Styles' head on the mat, but the way Brock just banged Styles' head on the mat it looked brutal. It was awesome, but it looked brutal. Again, Brock, for like the third or fourth time in the match, Brock went for an F5. Styles got over the top. Styles counter, got over the top rope, hit the phenomenal forearm, which was a pretty good-looking phenomenal forearm, all things considered. Brock kicked out. Styles went for another phenomenal forearm, even took off the armband like he did with Cena at SummerSlam last year. Brock countered, got the F5, and 1, 2, 3, Brock wins the match. This match was fucking awesome. And I'm like, okay, we were about to get Lesnar and Mahal, for God's sakes. But then when I heard Styles got in there, I'm like, okay, I'll agree this on one condition. Styles has to get a great match out of Lesnar, and that's exactly what friggin' happened. I mean, this match was kick-ass. Yeah, a little bit wonky in certain spots, but it was awesome. And I would never take it back, because to see AJ Styles, who is my favorite wrestler, by the way, wrestle Brock Lesnar, that for me was like, it was tear-jerking. Next, what was the last and by far most disappointing match on the entire show was the main event. It was Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Team Raw comprising of Captain Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Triple H against Team SmackDown, which comprised of Captain Shane McMahon, Bobby Roode, Randy Orton, John Cena, and Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a match that the first 10 minutes was awesome. The next several minutes was like, I'm not feeling it. And then by near the end, it just got boring as all living shit. They put in several guys in there against each other who had never wrestled before. Shane even tried to attack Braun from behind, and then he got flung halfway across the ring, which was awesome. Because Shane should never try to attack Braun from behind. What the hell's wrong with you? Samoa Joe went to attack what Samoa Joe went for. Samoa Joe and Randy Orton came in next. They wrestled each other, which they've never wrestled each other before. And again, the first 10 minutes was great because they had exchanges between wrestlers who have never wrestled before. Joe and Orton. You had Balor and Nakamura in there, and the crowd, by the way, chanted for Balor and Nakamura either because of their time in NXT or because of their time in New Japan. I pray it was for their time in New Japan, not just NXT. But yeah, Balor and Nakamura came in next. The back and forth between the two was, again, really good. This reminded me a little bit of Nakamura's back and forth with AJ Styles at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view earlier this year. So it was different. Because it was different. It was short, but it was different. Then Triple H wrestled Nakamura. Triple H got in some offense, but that didn't last long. Then Nakamura went for the knees and just kicked Triple H to hell. Triple H got his moves in. A move in. And then next came in Bobby Roode. Now, the thing with Bobby Roode is that Bobby Roode, for the longest time, had been called a Triple H clone because he had certain styles, a certain style that kind of fit the mold that Triple H would do in terms of Triple H's wrestling. And they even had the same style spine buster. And even Bobby Roode, because like Triple H and Bobby Roode both had long hair. Now they both have short hair. Now they both have beards. I'm just like, jeez. And Bobby Roode for his glorious thing. Triple H was having none of that. After Triple H had a spine buster, he did his suck it thing. Bobby Roode countered the pedigree, hit a spine buster, did his glorious thing, which was fun. Then it was Bobby Roode and Kurt Angle. Now, for those of you who didn't watch TNA, this is like a new for you. But I watched TNA. I've gone back and watched a lot of TNA matches after I found out about it. So I know the matches that Roode and Angle have had together. They had 2 Bound for Glory's matches together, which was awesome. Which the second one in 2013 was awesome. So I was glad to see that again, even for a minute. Nakamura came back in, dominated pretty much everyone. Dominated Triple H, dominated Angle, attacked Braun Strowman, hit the running knees, attacked, he fought off everyone. Then Braun Strowman came in the mix, and he even attacked Braun Strowman for a little bit, which was brave. Nakamura went for his knee from the second rope, ran at Strowman, and then Strowman countered immediately into a running power slam. And I just wish that Nakamura could have gone longer. I wish Cena or Orton would have gotten or even Shane would have bitten the bullet first. But then Roode came in to wrestle Strowman. He hit his version of the blockbuster onto Strowman. Went for the glorious DDT. That didn't work. I mean, how are you gonna deadlift a guy that big, Strowman? Went for another blockbuster. Strowman must have fucked up here because he didn't catch Roode, and instead Roode kind of just fell on the mat. Strowman picked him up, hit the power slam, and got him for the pin. And look on Team SmackDown who was left. Shane McMahon, John Cena, Randy Orton. This was the point in the match where I was getting a little bit worried. Strowman, even though Team Raw was winning, Team Raw was fighting against each other because of egos. Triple H and Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman. Randy Orton was like, enough of this shit, and attacked everyone. He even got a nice little power slam on a Samoa Joe, for a guy the size of Joe is kind of impressive. John Cena and Randy Orton attacked Braun Strowman. That didn't work out, even though they went for their finishers. Shoved Braun Strowman outside, though. And what happened is they attacked Strowman to the point when they were trying to hit a double suplex. Shane came in the mix, but so did Nakamura and Roode. And they hit basically a 5-man suplex onto Braun Strowman through the table, which I think took Strowman out for quite a while. This match, by the way, went about half an hour, and this was the point in the match when it was starting to show. Samoa Joe attacked Shane. Shane got a Pele, well, not a Pele kick, but he got a kick on Joe. Then Cena hit one of his terrible drop kicks. My God, Cena's got to stop with those drop kicks. I mean, they look bad. Like, no. But it was nice to see Cena and Joe work together. Because these guys knew each other back when they first started out wrestling back in like 1999 or 2000, whenever it was. Samoa Joe dominated Cena for a bit. Finn Balor went. I think Finn Balor. What happened is Finn Balor tagged in. And Samoa Joe didn't like it. Balor went for a coup de grace. Joe tagged himself back in, only to get AA'd by Cena. Balor tried to do something about it. He ended up getting AA'd. Joe got hit with a second attitude adjustment, and then Cena got the pin on Joe. Next up was Kurt Angle against I think what happened was, I think from what I read, Triple H got knocked a little bit loopy earlier in the match, so the Kurt Angle, John Cena back and forth was kind of like on the spot, which if it was, kind of nice. Because, again, we haven't seen John Cena and Kurt Angle since 2005, if I recall correctly. But yeah, they went back and forth. It was nice. It was nice to see. But again, I was getting a little bit worried. I was like, Kurt Angle and John Cena. I'm like, nice to see, but come on, man. And then Kurt Angle hit an angle slam. Finn Balor hit a coup de grace. And Kurt Angle hit another angle slam on John Cena. And then it was 4-on-2. Triple H, Balor, Strowman, who was still knocked down, and Kurt Angle against Randy Orton and Shane McMahon. Then it was mainly Balor against Orton, which again, nice exchange. I liked seeing Balor and Orton work together. Balor even took Shane out of the match for a bit when he drop kicked him to the ringside barricade. Finn Balor at one point went for a coup de grace. Then Randy Orton got an RKO on Finn Balor and pinned him. This was the part when the match just went freaking nosedive and just downhill. Even more so than the women's match. The men's match got it even worse with the booking. Look who are the final men on each team. Triple H, Kurt Angle, and Braun Strowman was the one exception. SmackDown before Cena got eliminated. Cena, Orton, Shane. I'm just like, WTF, man. You're taking out your best players. They basically got rid of all their best workers early. And we got left with either the broken down workers or the ones we've seen a million times do stuff together. We even saw it back and forth between Triple H and Randy Orton for a second there. And I'm just like, after the lukewarm feud they've had in the past, and with some pretty bad matches, like the WrestleMania match, for instance, I was like not into it. Then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, as I kind of figured they would, because of the whole Shane dynamic they had, the feud with him. They went out to attack Shane just as Orton was about to tag Shane in. And then, like a super face, Shane fought them both off with steel chairs and had him chasing. So I thought they were going to knock out Shane. Instead, what ended up happening was Shane fought back and Kevin Owens got RKO'd by Randy Orton, which I did not see that coming. And Orton certainly didn't see it coming because he ended up getting clotheslined and power slammed by Braun Strowman. So now it was 1-on-3 and pinned him. Now it was 1-on-3. It was Strowman, Angle, and Triple H against Shane McMahon. By this point, nobody in the crowd gave a shit. Maybe they did, but a lot of people certainly did not give a shit, as I've seen on the reviews. And I certainly didn't. And don't get me wrong, Shane and Angle tried. They actually they did try for a little bit. There was a point when Angle did get a 2-minute long ankle lock on Shane McMahon. Shane just refused to tap. And to the point where I'm just like, man, this is going on forever. Triple H probably said enough of this shit to hit a pedigree, which did look a little bit weird. Hit a pedigree on Kurt Angle, and Shane pinned Angle. And we were kind of led to believe that Triple H betrayed Team Raw and was now teaming with his brother-in-law, Shane. He got Shane up, and as they were about to fight Strowman, seemingly Triple H just hit a pedigree onto Shane and pinned Shane. And the winner of the match was Braun Strowman and Triple H as your sole survivors of Team Raw. As the survivors. Braun Strowman, he didn't like it too much. In fact, he was kind of pissed off at Triple H. Triple H tried to shove a little bit too much of his ego in Strowman's face, cheering for the victory. Braun Strowman got a chokehold. This was awesome. Braun Strowman got a chokehold on Triple H, shoved him in the corner, and the camera got this picture-perfect spot where Triple H is looking up at Strowman like, please, spare me for dear God. Triple H apparently did not learn his lesson because he tried to attack Strowman from behind. That didn't work out because Triple H tried to get a pedigree. Again, how are you going to pedigree a man that big? And then Strowman hit not one, but 2 running power slams onto Triple H. It was awesome. And then we left up with shirtless Braun. And by the way, have we ever seen Braun Strowman shirtless? Why am I talking about this? I'm sorry. But, yeah, that match, really died a death. Like, it was started to go downhill in the middle, and then just died a death at the end. I'm just like, oh, God. So, that was your overall pay-per-view, review. This was a great pay-per-view. This was a really good show, maybe even a great show, that ended piss poorly. So, I don't want to talk about the show anymore, because I'm about to eat some turkey, and I'm about to drink, but, some water, not beer, even though I'm 21. But, hope you guys enjoyed this review and my little in-depth analysis on the show. It's already an hour and 10 minutes long, damn. But anyways, next time I will see you with my last main roster pay-per-view review. After I review Clash of Champions, I will be putting up my video for my Royal Rumble contest. I hope enough of you people join in. So with that said, be well, stay safe, have a good day. This was a great show, a really good show, I should say. Not a great show, but a good show. And I'll see you guys next time with a Clash of Champions review tomorrow, hopefully. Until next time, guys, peace. Bitches.